Now, as a nutritional coach or a personal trainer of any of those kind of likes, or even a more experienced or more specific practitioner or therapist, mentor, coach, facilitator, who is guiding your clients towards a certain outcome, you may begin to pick up on, or your client may directly tell you that they have some habits and behaviors that they really cannot control. May feel like it is too far out of your own expertise to be able to help them. And what I'm referring to here in this video is about things around emotional eating, binge eating, um, over a compulsion around food, an obsession around food, um, those kind of behaviors that begin to control our clients' life in some way, where they are just grappling for ways to achieve a certain outcome uh, through all of those issues. And as I mentioned before, you may find yourself feeling like you're not qualified or you don't have the expertise to help your client through this. And you just, trying to encourage and support them and perhaps giving them strategies to avoid certain scenarios or plans and rituals um, to allow them to create new things that are going to work for them. But what is really important to know here is that these habits and behaviors, what I'm referring to here is that those emotional binge eating or obsessions around food are, as I mentioned before, emotional. And you can very, very seamlessly and organically cut through um, a lot of that behavior through applying advanced conversational hypnosis, natural conversation. Now, you don't need to be an expert about what's going on for your client. You don't need to have had experience with it. And this could be with absolutely anything. And I'm only using the example of an emotional eating right now as an example, or binge eating as an example. But all that needs to happen is for you to challenge the way that they think and to get really, really curious about how they got there in the first place and what keeps them stuck there in that way of thinking. Uh, and when you begin to break down those barriers, break down all those singular pieces that have accumulated to bring your client to where they are, you're going to begin to make what their problem is, their symptom of binge eating or overeating or being completely obsessed about food. Are you going to begin to break that down, that thought wave down, and allow it to become malleable? Because what happens to all of us is that what we experience on a daily basis in our conscious reality is just a symptom. And when we are able to break out of that loop of conscious thinking and take a step back, we are then able to reposition ourselves to think differently for our unconscious mind to come up with new resources, new, more beneficial strategies that are going to work for us in the long run. So, as I mentioned before, you don't need to be an expert about what is going on for your client. You just need to have this expertise to break it all down, to really unpack for your client or help your client unpack how they got there in the first place and their way of thinking, and then get them into a space where they can reposition themselves to think differently. So, if this is something that you find yourself attracting clients that have issues, for example, such as binge eating or a compulsion around food and their behavior around food, jump on board my advanced conversational hypnosis training. It will be a game changer for you as a coach and for your clients.